Welcome back to the channel. So I thought this time we could have a wee chat about working alone and working as a team, and how do you get projects off the ground, I guess. I started the Dream Machine 4 years ago now, when I came back from travelling, and straight away the reason why I thought it was a plausible idea was because I was working with other people. It was only as part of a team I ever thought it was a plausible idea. That team has changed through the years, and I worked, I guess, for the majority of it actually by myself, which is a different vibe, because when you work by yourself it's great because you're your own boss and no one can tell you off, and every idea is the best idea ever if you're me. But the problem with that is you haven't got any soundboards, you haven't got any gatekeepers, you haven't got anyone to motivate you when you're feeling a bit low or when it doesn't seem to be working. The Dream Machine came to quite a pivotal point. What was that, about 6 months ago? Maybe the start of the year, really. For the first few months of that, I worked by myself. I then put a shout out for some interns, expecting maybe one or two people to get back, but got a really good response from just very, very minimal. I put an ad up on Indeed.co.uk and on Creative Scotland, all unpaid, just random kind of informal shout outs. Does anybody want to come and help out? And from that, got loads of amazing people who are doing incredible things, who are looking to just engage and are looking to experiment and looking to find other people with similar practices, or places where they can have a sense of experimentation, a sense of control, a sense of working as part of a team. It kind of reinforced, I just felt so much more engaged and so much more inspired by the Dream Machine, just by working with others. It's so important. I think it's easy to forget, especially when it's your idea, or when you feel like it's your thing, it's your baby, and you get stuck sometimes in a rut of like attachment or fear of sharing it with others, or I don't know what it is. There's so many psychological barriers to kind of to really letting go a little bit of your baby, and I think I went through a lot of them. So I guess the next big stage for me and for the Dream Machine came a few months ago, after saving up enough and really making the mental intention to really have more of a dedicated professional team to help kind of develop a development team to kind of take the project to the next level. And development, again, what a vital area it is. I mean, again, I've done so many budgets by myself, funding apps by myself. I've sat and project managed and envisaged the Dream Machine and all its tentacles by myself so many times. And when I look back at that, when I first wrote that by myself, and my vision that I have of the Dream Machine as a team, by working in a team, they're kind of chalk and cheese. One is very visionary, but lots of holes, lots of gaps, and those gaps obviously represent the areas in which I'm not particularly skilled or not particularly experienced, not particularly interested in. So it's an incomplete image. Whereas by working in a team, when you develop a plan, a business plan, a vision together, you have multiple angles. You have people who maybe don't quite understand where you're coming from, so they're going to ask loads of questions about, well, what do you mean about that? And you've really got to learn to explain it, because that's what you've got to do with the public, don't you, when you want to explain it to funders or to the public or to customers or whatever. So that's good. You have gatekeepers, people who disagree with you, and will challenge you on certain things. Have you done this? Health and safety stuff, have you done that? And that's really interesting, because you don't get that working alone. And so you get to develop a much more complete picture that has extra dimensions. You can only ever have so many dimensions when you work alone. It's like the world according to Matt, or the world according to you. When you work as a team and you develop a collaborative picture, it's much more, it's like a model rather than a picture. It's like, rather than it being a 2D painting, it's much more like an actual 3D model you've created. And you can really view it really fully. So a few months ago, took on new members of the team, which have been fantastic. What a team it's been. You can see them on our Instagram and on our social media. I guess why I chose them in the end was because each of them has a particular skill and experience background, which is obviously so important. If you want to develop a team, you have to have a mix of skills. But also, each of them, I felt there's that instinctive feeling as well. So you can't just go on a piece of paper like a skill set or experience according to previous jobs. There's got to be a connection there in terms of a shared vision, whether it be specifically about the Dream Machine or a vision of a more, a universal vision of connection with ideals or morals or whatever else. And I guess with all three of them, I not only did I connect with their skill sets and looked at the work they'd done and be like, wow, that's amazing, but also their work ethic was incredible, and their vision, I guess, they're all independent people. They've all started up their own projects before, so they all know what it is to work independently, to take something and really flesh it out, but each of them also could bring something so unique to a team. So I guess I in the Dream Machine now is so lucky that we've got a team of 4 of us working together, and we're each bringing our own skill set, but we're also sharing the load without treading each other's toes as well. So we're always meeting every week and always feeding into each other our ideas and making sure that we're not running ahead in a direction that's not the right direction, or at the same time we're not walking over each other, or we're not leaving any gaps. So there's lots of good questions that I had no idea about when I was working by myself. So I guess, yeah, I feel enlivened now that we've got a team. I feel that the Dream Machine has got whole new arms and limbs that are growing. It's dimensions. It's gone from a 2D picture in my head to a much more rounded model, and it's just fantastic. I can't wait to see where it goes. I feel it's no longer just a weird dream that I've had, a dream machine. It's no longer just in a dream. It's much more of like an active living physical thing that's just waiting to happen, if that makes sense. So this is our scale model of the dream room. Front little room here where people are going to come in. What we're going to actually have here is a little cupboard on both sides. This might actually end up becoming a library over here. We don't quite know yet. But as you can see, we've got 3 tiers of seating. The reason why we chose this kind of layout was so that if I come in and I'm all alone, I'm an individual, but let's say there's 5 other people here who are in a group. If it was tabled seating, like a typical cafe style, they would all be sitting together, whereas I, as the individual, would feel awkward, socially awkward. I might go sit at a table by myself, or I might be forced to sit at a round table, strangers. We just thought that this kind of layout would be the most appropriate setup psychologically for anyone who might or might not know each other, to just kind of layer up. It's also the most functional. We can fit 25 people in this room, which is better than any kind of other layout we could think of. It's fully accessible. We've got a nice little ramp here. We've got spaces. I know it doesn't look like it, but we've got spaces here for wheelchairs, up to 6 wheelchairs. This is all also modular, so if we wanted to, this can actually layer up on top of this, and we'd leave this whole space open if need be. We then have a ramp as you come in, so your facilitator would invite you in, and up the ramp you come, and you're into our dream room. And here, this is a lovely padded, heated floor, which was a pain in the ass to build, but we got there. It's heated up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's lovely padding. We're going to get some nice comfy crash mats, bean bags, and chairs for people with bad backs and whatnot. As you can see, we've got some images of projections that might or might not happen. We've got our LED lights in the corner, and yeah, fully immersive space for up to 25 people. So why don't we go through and we'll have a wee look, and I'll show you for real. Welcome to the dream room. As you can see, we've tried to hide all the technology here. So the idea is it's kind of like a padded cell, but in a nice way. We've got 8 KRK monitor speakers all the way around the room, which are hidden on 4 on top and 4 on bottom. And we've got 8 lovely bar lights that are fully controllable, so you can get all these lovely different effects, and just a nice wee sheet to kind of hide it off a wee bit. We're going to do the same up here with the projectors. We're going to have 4 projectors here filling all these 4 walls, and then we're going to kind of box it off nice and white. So long story short, you'll have a lovely white room with a heated floor, padded heated floor, and you can't see any technology, so the magic is hidden, or the magic is revealed when you hide all the gadgetry. It's a multifunctional room that can have immersive sound, that can have full 360 visuals, you name it. It's great for all sorts of purposes. We can have, because it's immersive sound, it's also ambisonic, so what that means is you can have a sound that is locational. So as a musician or as an artist, that's amazing, because it means you can have, whereas if you've got typical stereo sound, everything's layered on top of each other unless you use a little bit of panning, so you can only have so many layers before it sounds really muddy. In this room, you can literally, if you're doing cinematography, if you're a musician, or whatever your artistic practice is, you can have so many more layers. You can have a higher bandwidth, you can have a middle layer, you can have a lower layer, you can have stuff in the middle, you can have stuff panned to here. You've literally got a 360 panner in the room. So what it means, you can also have that in automation, like kind of panning around the room. So imagine this space with a choir on the go with 15 different voices, rather than that hitting you in stereo as one kind of collective choir voice. Also, we've got this 360 projection wall, so we're looking to experiment. That's why we've got these 4 projectors that are going to fill all the walls. With that, we're thinking about trying to hook up with some people who are maybe more experienced or looking to experiment in this. So we can have a 4-sided camera, or maybe a 360 camera, so that it could be on a helmet. So you could film some action shots with 4 cameras, 4-sided, which could then have 4 feeds into 4 walls. So it would be like literally viewing the world from on top of somebody's head, but if you had eyeballs all the way around your head, so you could literally, you could imagine that as an experience. You could go swimming, you could put it on a drone and go flying above a city. So many potentials. And once we're in here, I guess that the purpose is for everyone who's in here to feel, first of all, safe, to feel relaxed no matter what's going on, and to feel like it's a new experience. It's a distraction from the world outside. So you've left the world behind. You don't know that you're inside a dirty old shed right now, which is actually realistically what this is. Don't tell anyone, but really that's all this place is. But it could be a spaceship for all you know. It could be another planet. It could be deep under the ocean. Do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight, get down tonight. Do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight.